You have been going about Milsurp collecting all wrong, and so have I, but don't worry, we're gonna fix it together. What's up guys, Readiness Reviews, here with you again. Military surplus firearm collecting is an amazing hobby, but most collectors, including me, make major mistakes that result in unorganized, disjointed, less valuable, and messy collections. If you're picking up every shiny surplus gun you happen to stumble across without a plan, you're collecting wrong. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of finding a deal, grabbing every C&R gun in sight, and before you know it, you've blown your retirement fund and your resulting collection is an unorganized mess. Not to mention how annoyed your spouse is going to be. I've been collecting Milsurps wrong for years, but it's not too late to fix it, and when you do, you'll enjoy this hobby and appreciate your collection way more. Before we get into the mistakes, let's talk about why military surplus firearm collecting is one of the best hobbies out there. These aren't just guns, they are a link to the past. They are history you can hold in your hands. Every dent, every marking, every bit of wear tells a story. Yes, even that mark your new SKS received because your cat decided to knock it over. Milsurp guns are an investment. There aren't any more being made. Despite staggering numbers of military firearms originally produced, they are an ever-dwindling supply and tend to go up in value over time. What you buy today could be worth double, triple, or even more in the future. They can also serve as a valuable family heirloom. If properly cared for, firearms can be passed down for generations. A Milsurp collection isn't really something you own. It's something you steward and build for the future. But to get the most out of this hobby, we need to avoid the mistakes that can make collecting frustrating and at times overwhelming. Frankly, the current state of my collection is a disaster, which brings us to our first talking point: organization, storage, and protection. Having a gun collection comes with responsibilities. As a collector, you've essentially become the curator of your very own little firearms museum, and it's on you to preserve these pieces and the history they represent. Proper care, maintenance, and storage are paramount to ensuring that these firearms live for future generations to enjoy. Every firearm needs a safe place for storage to avoid damage and theft. Maybe that's in a literal safe or simply on a gun rack in a dedicated room, separate from those vicious domesticated felines who may mistake your treasured M1 as a convenient scratching post. For maximum protection, I recommend putting each firearm in its own individual gun sock and storing them in a fireproof safe. That is most certainly a case of do as I say and not as I do.
Stop it. Get some help.
And let's not overlook having a dedicated space for those accessories, like bayonets, clips, magazines, and of course ammunition. When storing guns, humidity control is a key factor. Too much moisture can lead to rust or even mold, and too little moisture can lead to the cracking of wood stocks. Guns are basically the most comfortable in the same conditions people are: a relative humidity of about 50% and temperatures around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And please, please, please don't forget to clean your firearms after firing corrosive ammunition. That is one of the best ways to absolutely destroy your investment. Make sure to log your acquisitions. This is important for any collection for keeping track of what you have and how much you've spent. In the case of firearms specifically, if you are a C&R license holder, you are required to keep track of your logs by the ATF. And finally, don't be Bubba. Avoid making permanent modifications to your firearms. The world doesn't need any more sporterized deer rifles, and at this point buying a modern firearm for that purpose is more cost effective anyway. Keep these historical pieces intact whenever possible. If you have any takeaway from this video whatsoever, please let it be this next section: niching down and focusing your collection. If you've ever looked at your collection and wondered, what exactly am I going for here? You're not alone. That's my collection exactly. And trust me, it's easy to end up with a hodgepodge of random guns with absolutely no theme or focus. I have a habit of buying whatever I can afford, whatever is available, or whatever is interesting at the time. And guess what? That's how you end up with a completely unfocused mess. Hosting this YouTube channel has only made the situation worse, with new firearms constantly coming in, and the urge to showcase anything and everything, with absolutely no thought to the direction of the collection as a whole. When you collect literally everything, you stretch your budget way too thin, and ammunition for actually shooting your guns becomes a complete nightmare with so many different chamberings to juggle. Truly knowing and appreciating your collection becomes an impossible task. Now here's the truth. Focusing your collection makes it better. A hard lesson for me to learn is gun collecting is not Pokemon. You do indeed not have to catch them all. Pick a niche within surplus firearms and build expertise. Whether it's collecting only finished Mosins, trying to acquire one of every model of Lee Enfield or Carcano, or maybe you just want one example of each bolt-action rifle from the First World War, it makes the hunt for that new edition all the more exciting. Instead of impulse buying, you'll have goals and targets to chase. It makes displaying and appreciating your collection way more satisfying, and most importantly, it makes you more informed. You'll learn more about specific firearms, their history, and the nuances that make them unique, something that can get lost when your collection is scattered across too many different types of guns, like butter scraped over too much bread.
I feel thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread.
I'm not saying don't grab the deal when you see one, but a little direction goes a long way. I, for one, love the collections within my collection of Swiss firearms, Carcanos, and Lee Enfields, and for those specific types of firearms, obtaining one of each model is actually an achievable goal, unlike my old dream of having an example of one of each military Mauser ever made. Piggybacking off being a focused collector, you also want to be an informed buyer. One of the biggest mistakes new collectors make is buying on impulse, not doing enough research, and getting burned because of it. I know because I've been there. The sight unseen, luck of the draw aspect of CNR retailers like Royal Tiger Imports and Hunter's Lodge complicate this even more. Truthfully, buying from someone like that is basically gambling, and like in the casino, the odds are always in favor of the house. You want to know the market. What seemed expensive 5 years ago might be cheap these days. Check auction sites, forums, gun stores, and gun shows to get a true idea of what real-world prices look like. You want to understand what you're shopping for. Not all SKSs, Mausers, and Mosins are the same. Some are rare, some are common, and some have specific features that add value. Do your research before you spend your money. And don't forget that sometimes patience pays off. Usually the best deals don't come to those who jump on the first thing they see. Waiting, shopping around, and researching a fair price for what you're looking for can save you thousands in the long run. So you've acquired all of these unique, interesting, valuable, and historical firearms, but is it okay to sell? Absolutely yes, and sometimes you should. I'm the worst offender of this, but a lot of collectors fall into the mindset that once you have something in your collection, it has to remain there forever, and that's simply not true. It is completely okay to sell or trade to improve your collection. If you have something that doesn't fit your focus anymore, letting go of it can help you fund something better. Your tastes and priorities in Milsurps will change. The rifle you were obsessed with 5 years ago might not mean that much to you now. That's normal. Deposition is all part of the fun. Some of the best collections are built by constantly refining, upgrading, and adjusting over time. If you've got something collecting dust that just doesn't excite you anymore, don't feel bad about passing it on to someone who will appreciate it. So if you've been collecting Milsurps like I have, let's fix it. Let's get organized, protect our investments, focus our collection, stay informed, and don't be afraid to sell, because refining and upgrading your collection is all part of the hobby. Collecting and shooting surplus firearms should be fun, not a burden. If we apply these changes, we'll build collections that are not only valuable, but meaningful, and we'll enjoy it a whole lot more. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to hit the thumbs up to help it out with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my future videos, and let me know down in the comments what the biggest mistake you've made as a firearms collector. I will catch you guys in the next video. See you then. Peace.